지금 시애틀에 왔습니다. 사실 시애틀이 이번 모든 미국 출장의 시작점이긴 했었어요. 저희가 뭐 미국을 진출을 하고 싶지만 언제부터 시작을 해야 될지, 어디서부터 시작을 해야 될지가 좀 고민이 있었는데 어떤 프로그램을 지원을 했고, 근데 그 프로그램이 이제 시애틀에 있는 기업과 이제 연결을 시켜주는 그런 프로그램이었어요. 그래서 저희가 그거를 뭔가 하나의 모멘텀으로 삼고, 사실 시애틀이 저희랑 딱 핏이 맞는 도시인지는 사실 아직은 잘 모르겠습니다. 저도 처음 와가지고 잘 모르겠는데, 그래도 이왕 미국을 가는 거 시애틀 말고 다른 도시들도 방문을 하자라는 이제 생각이 있어가지고 굉장히 크게 이제 디벨롭이 된 거죠. 그래서 원래는 시애틀 때문에 이제 미국 출장을 준비를 하게 됐다. 궁금하기도 하고 좀 기대가 되는 것 같습니다. 여기가 저희가 만나는, 일찍 와서 여기 좀 먼저 둘러보고 있습니다. 지금 여기가 되게 그 건물은 학교 건물인데 안에 되게 스타트업 그 분들이 일을 할 수 있는 환경이 되어 있어요. 살짝 보여드리면은 약간 이런 분위기입니다. 뭔가 세미나 같은 것도 할 수 있고, 여기가 이렇게 오피스처럼 되게 잘 돼 있어요. 약간 위워크 같은 느낌으로.
Your startup for seeking that investment. Two people running a program called the Startup Investors and Angel Groups. So an angel investor just considered a very poor investment from a venture capitalist point of view. SVB is a great partner here because they're really familiar with startups in retrospect. There is no hard and fast rule. But one of the best signs is if you can't keep up with demand, you've probably hit product market fit. The data to tell me how much growth you're going to get out of it, you've got a strong narrative.
Some people were saying that revenue traction is very important, but the other side, some people are saying that before Series B, having like big clients is more helpful because they want to know if this product is working throughout the industry. So do you have any like suggestions whether we should go for the smaller businesses but increase the revenue side, or should we just focus on building relationship with big companies?
My general approach would be, because landing enterprise clients can be very difficult, and for a small company, it can be challenging to work with them because of payment terms and whatnot. Usually you're going to have a much better time working with the smaller companies first and laddering up. And that'll give you two advantages. One is revenue growth that you can demonstrate traction, but two is the revenue itself, right? If you can get to the point, and you can do this surprisingly early, especially if you do start with small companies. I've got a few companies I work with that are pre-Series A. They're already at a point where they're actually cash flow positive.
Yeah.
So what that means is that when you come to the table to a VC, you can say, look, we're making $500,000 a year. We're actually at break even.
Yes.
So we don't even have a runway. We can persist indefinitely.
Yeah.
What that tells me as the investor, I mean, presumably you'll tell me as well, but I'll immediately understand this. Any money I give you immediately goes towards growth. It doesn't go to day-to-day operations. It means you're hiring people, you're building out new tech, you're expanding your marketing, whatever, right? As an investor, I love that because that means the likelihood of your company failing after I've invested is so much lower than if some of my money is going to just keep you alive, right? Now, what I'm going to look at in that respect is okay, but can you actually grow? Because I don't want a zombie company that doesn't die but also doesn't grow in my portfolio. That's a giant pain in the butt. And that's a case actually where your investor, your interest might diverge because that investor will want you to do a make or break a bet. They don't. If you're not making the money, they don't care if your company goes under, right?
Yes.
Whereas you obviously presumably do. But if you've got to the point where you're cash flow positive and you're taking my capital to invest in growth, that's very appealing. It also will help you in landing those enterprise companies because instead of coming to them and saying, hey, we're a new startup and we haven't worked with anybody, you want to be our first? Then you go, no. If you get a bunch of small companies and you say, hey, look, we've got 50 of these smaller companies, they've got rave reviews, here's all the cool stuff we managed to do for them, and now we've scaled up this enterprise product offering. Now that company has some faith that you can do what you say you can do, and now all they have to believe is, can you do it for a big company, right? So that's a much lower lift in terms of what you have to commit to them. So overall, my advice is usually go for the smaller company.
All right, makes sense.
There are exceptions. Sometimes the product only works for very large companies, in which case you don't really have the luxury of going with a small company first. But in general, usually easier to start small and go up.
Got it. Thank you so much. We're hoping to raise our funding, Series A, based in the States. We presume that US-based VCs are more interested into use cases in the States.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's definitely true. It's not only because they're more familiar with the market, but frequently their LPs are also in the US, so their LPs are often uncomfortable with investments outside of the country as well.
Yes.
Side note, since you're in government tech, there's a small fund, I know the GP, really nice guy, they're doing some very cool stuff, and they specialize in gov tech. They're based out of Florida, but the GP and one of the venture partners is up here all the time.
Oh, really? Oh,
so happy to make an intro if that's
Thank you so
helpful.
much.
Yeah, drop me a note and I can make an
Alright,
introduction.
thank you so much.
Sure, happy to.
하루 종일 그 여러
세미나? 첫날이다 보니까 약간 세미나랑 강의 같은 게 있었고요. 여기 교수님이 오셔가지고 경영대 교수님 오셔가지고 뭐 여러 가지 미국에서 투자 받는 거에 대한 설명, 그리고 미국의 VC들은 어떤 거를 리뷰를 보는지랑 뭐 이제 법인 설립하는 거 뭐 이런 것들 같이 좀 설명해 주셨습니다. 그래서 오늘 오전하고 점심 때 그런 거 있고, 여기는 약간 저희가 일할 수 있는 공간이 있어가지고 그래서 지금 컴퓨터랑 같이 일을 하고 있고요. 이따가 고객사 미팅 있어가지고 한번 가고, 또 여기 좋은 게 스타트업 하시는 분들이 많이 몰려 있다 보니까, 그리고 그분들이 그냥 스타트업을 하는 게 아니고 보통 여기 마이크로소프트나 아마존이나 약간 이런 기업에서 일을 하시다가 스타트업 차리신 분들이 있어요. 그래서 그런 분들을 통해 가지고 그런 기업들도 좀 소개를 받을 수 있는 기회를 만들어 보고 싶어서 이렇게 캐주얼한 커피챗도 좀 했습니다. 그래서 일단은 모든 기회가 다 귀중하다 보니까 기회가 되면 이렇게 많이 만나보려고 노력을 하고 있습니다.
2년에 한 번씩 바뀌니까 맞아요.
아, 여기네요. 저희 미팅이 마이크로소프트랑 하는 것은 아니고 여기서 저희가 뵐 분이 있어가지고 미팅을 하러 왔습니다. 지금 마이크로소프트 오피스라고 하기보다는 더 큰 캠퍼스 안에 와 있고요. 여기서 저희가 식사를 하면서 미팅을 할 거라서 지금 잠깐 기다리고 있습니다. 근데 여기 캠퍼스가 참 좋죠. 약간 대학교 같아요. 이렇게 이벤트가 많아가지고 제가 영상을 많이 찍지는 못했고, 그래서 어제는 일단 미팅은 잘 했고요. 오늘은 다음 날입니다. 그래서 오늘은 저희가 시애틀에 있는 테크 컨퍼런스가 있어요. 여기 계신 분들의 얘기를 들으니까 이제 시애틀의 CES 같은 굉장히 큰 행사라고 하고, 이제 마이크로소프트나 아마존이나 우리가 알만한 모든 이제 테크 대기업들이 다 스폰서를 하고 있는 그런 컨퍼런스라고 합니다. 근데 마침 출장하고 일정이 겹쳐가지고 제가 오게 됐고요. 여기 와서는 뭐 현황 같은 것도 보긴 하지만 사실 가장 큰 목적은 이제 세일즈이기는 합니다. 그래서 제가 전단지나 이런 것도 많이 좀 가지고 왔고, 여기 계신 분들 만나면서 혹시나 잠재 고객사가 될 수 있는 분들을 좀 만나고 싶어서 일단 와봤습니다. 한번 들어가 보도록 할게요. Thank you so much. 이름표랑 뭐 이런 굿즈를 받고 들어갑니다. 근데 제가 좀 되게 일찍 온 편이라서 사람들이 엄청 많은 것 같진 않고, 여기 오면은 커피랑 뭐 이런 거 있다고 해서 남는 게 시간이니까 한번 일찍 와봤습니다. 네, 여기서 컨퍼런스 하는 것 같은데 생각보다 그렇게 규모가 커 보이진 않습니다. 여기 말고 더 있겠지? 여기 너무 작은데요? 들어보니까 여기가 컨퍼런스가 진행이 되는 거고 옆방에 뭐가 더 이렇게 있다고 하는데 생각보다 너무 조촐해서 조금 놀랐습니다. 한국에 뭐 코엑스 같은 데 가면 엄청 큰데 일단 나중에 가봐야지 알 것 같아요. 컨퍼런스가 시작을 했고요. 주변에 앉은 사람들하고도 좀 네트워킹을 해가지고 지금 연락처를 받고 있습니다.
By enterprise tech and tech-enabled companies in Washington State.
So it's nice to be in your presence again. It's nice to be talking to tech folks. I love tech. I love tech people. This is going to be a good conversation.
행사는 끝났는데 제가 뭐 많이 못 찍었어요. 오늘은 그냥 계속해서 컨퍼런스를 마치고요. 저는 또 화상으로 미팅을 좀 하고 이제 가려고 합니다. 이제 거의 저녁이 다 됐습니다. 그리고 이게 되게 유명한 시애틀에 있는 타워인데 이름은 잘 모르겠어요. 근데 이게 컨퍼런스장 바로 옆에 있어가지고 아까는 좀 아침에는 안개가 많아가지고 잘 못 봤는데 이런 게 있네요. 타지는 않고 그냥 뭐 저런 게 있다 정도고요. 사실 제가 지금 어디 있는지는 잘 모르겠습니다. 오늘 컨퍼런스 다녀왔으니까 컨퍼런스에 대한 소감을 좀 얘기를 해볼게요. 저는 이제 이렇게 미국에 있는 그런 프로페셔널한 컨퍼런스는 처음 와봤는데 우선은 느낀 점은 사실 네트워크 때문에 여기가 모인 거잖아요. 저희가 뭐 연사분들의 내용을 들으러 온 건 아니니까 네트워킹을 위해서 왔고 뭐 모든 사람들 다 그렇고, 그래서 되게 좋았던 거는 영상을 찍지는 못했는데 중간중간에 이렇게 네트워킹 할 수 있는 그런 기회를 되게 많이 만들어줘요. 되게 적극적으로 푸시하기도 하고, 그래서 질문을 주고 질문을 가지고 이렇게 팀 그 책상에 앉은 사람들끼리 같이 대화하라고 되게 유도를 많이 합니다. 그래서 그런 것도 되게 좋았던 것 같아요. 다른 테이블 이렇게 옮겨가도 괜찮은 그런 분위기였습니다. 그래서 그런 거 너무 좋았고요. 두 번째는 확실히 뭐 미국 사람들이 굉장히 아웃고잉하고 그런데 재밌는 거는 사실 그들도 엄청 그러니까 이게 조금 부자연스러운 거긴 하잖아요. 처음 보는데 되게 이렇게 친한 척하고 관심 있는 척하고 이런 것들 사실 뭐 다 인간은 똑같습니다. 그래서 그들도 되게 그 노력을 하는 의지가 보였고 그 솔직하게 이렇게 얘기하기도 했는데 어쨌든 간에 뭐 그렇게 좀 억지로라도 얘기를 나눌 수 있는 그런 분위기가 조성이 된다는 건 좋았습니다. 그래서 그들도 어쨌든 간에 조금 그런 그 어떻게 보면 부자연스러운 그런 것들을 가지고 있다는 게 좀 되게 신기했고 사람들 많이 만났고요. 근데 이 사람을 만나는 게 중요한 게 아니고 실제로 이제 리드로 전환을 시키는 게 중요한데 뭐 알다시피 뭐 만나면 다 좋다고 얘기합니다. 다 좋고 뭐 얘기하자 이렇게 하는데 뭐 실제로 이제 얼마나 같이 이렇게 말이 통할지는 뭐 지켜봐야 될 것 같은데 사실 제가 이렇게 사람들을 만나면서 참 아쉬웠던 건 있어요. 저희가 근데 그게 뭐냐면은 그 미국에 오피스가 없으니까 이제 사실 그게 별거 아니지만 되게 큰 제약으로 느껴지나 봐요. 그러니까 미국에 오피스가 없으니까 뭐 우리가 그렇게 미국 기업처럼 안 보이는 걸 수도 있고 혹은 뭐 거버먼트 컨트랙 쪽이다 보니까 좀 되게 그런 법적인 뭐 요소가 좀 작용이 되지 않을까 뭐 이유는 모르겠는데 미국에 오피스가 있냐는 얘기를 많이 물어보더라고요. 그래서 그냥 그거는 이제 우리가 곧 설립을 하고 있다고 얘기를 했는데 이게 실제로 그래서 빨리 미국으로 오피스를 만들어야 되는 건지 아니면은 뭐 우선은 더 이렇게 대화가 잘 통하는 사람들을 만나야 되는 건지는 잘 모르겠습니다. 그래서 아무튼 그런 인상을 받았고 아무리 대화가 잘 돼도 이 모든 건 다 타이밍이잖아요. 그래서 딱 이렇게 불씨가 올라와야지 계속해서 대화가 되는 건데 만약에 뭐 대화를 하다가 너네 뭐 혹시 뭐 그 근무지가 어디니 뭐 한국에 있니 이런 얘기 하다 보면 거기서 약간 또 이게 풀이 죽을 수가 있어가지고 그러지 않도록 그 얘기를 잘해야 될 것 같아요. 근데 그거를 거짓말 칠 수는 없으니까 그게 제가 오늘 느낀 인상입니다. 그래서 아무튼 오늘 컨퍼런스 왔고 이게 시애틀도 이렇게 어딘지 모르겠어요. 근데 뭐 시애틀 다운타운 와가지고 시애틀 다운타운 위험하다고 들었는데 이제 전 택시를 타고 집에 가봐야 될 것 같습니다. 그러면은 또 내일 돌아오겠습니다. 시애틀 프로그램이 끝났습니다. 그래서 다 같이 한번 사진 찍고 이제 저는 LA로 이동을 합니다. 여기 있는 사람들하고도 많이 친해지고 다양한 얘기 나눌 수 있어서 서로 영감도 많이 받고 피드백도 많이 교환할 수 있어서 좋았어요. 저는 지금 LA에 와 있습니다. 시애틀에서 어제 한 밤 12시에 넘어왔고요. 사실 LA를 올까 말까 좀 고민을 했어요. 왜냐면은 좀 일정이 좀 타이트한데 제가 알고 보니까 제가 지금 참석하는 프로그램이 딱 목요일 날 끝나고 제가 이제 월요일 날에 버지니아에서 미팅이 있다 보니까 좀 시간이 비는 거죠. 사실 주말을 빼면은 금요일밖에 안 남긴 하는데 그래서 올까 말까 고민을 하다가 그 제 육촌 형이 여기에 아시는 분이 그 정부 계약을 많이 하셨던 분이 있다고 하셔가지고 사실 어떻게 될지 모르니까 또 그리고 시간이 좀 남기도 하고 또 지리적으로 좀 시애틀하고 LA는 좀 가깝다 보니까 이렇게 방문을 하게 됐습니다. 그래서 사실 그 한 분을 보러 왔고 그분이 또 좋은 분은 또 뭐 소개를 해줄 수도 있고 뭐 그거는 만나봐야지 알 것 같아요. 그래서 우선은 지금 그 계속해서 말씀드렸다시피 뭐 하나하나의 모든 관계가 또 중요하다 보니까 이렇게 제가 왔습니다. 여기는 더 포인트라는 약간 몰 같은 데예요. 그래서 여기서 저희가 이제 만나가지고 식사를 하면서 좀 얘기를 나누려고 합니다. 근데 지금 날씨가 안타깝게도 하루밖에 안 있는데 날씨가 좀 좋지가 않아요. 쌀쌀한 것 같기도 해서 아직 10월도 안 됐는데 좀 희한하네요. 그래서 제가 생각하는 LA의 그런 화창한 날씨는 보지는 못하지만 그래도 야자수가 있으니 LA에 왔다는 느낌이 드는군요. 그래서 일단은 여기서 조금 기다려보고 나중에 또 만나서 얘기를 나눠보도록 하겠습니다. RFP it's a very long process. We could break down into 3 processes. One is finding the right government contract. Second is analyzing and reading the RFPs. The third one is writing the proposals, right? Now we are focusing on searching and also analyzing, but we want to expand the proposal as well. So if you try finding government contracts on the website, let's say like for federal side for SAM.gov, or we have the states, we have the city, we have the county side. But let's say you have a really niche technology, then you wouldn't be able to find any government contract by just typing on the website. So you have to go through all the pages. But we are actually extracting every RFP document so that you can search within the RFPs. So
Okay.
just to give you an example, let's say you have like a very niche technology like 27mm LCD panel, like manufacture something like that. And if you type that into the government website, nothing will show up. But if you type into our platform, you'll be able to search within the RFP so that you can find the right government contract for your company.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yep.
So we call that the RFP full text search. Documents are like very, very long, sometimes like 100 pages, and they're like multiple attachments, easily 100
Yes,
pages,
yes.
and it's like multiple attachment files. So
Yeah.
we're actually leveraging all the data that's done there, and this is possible because every data is public.
Okay,
Right. So
So,
this-
to back up,
Yeah.
so we know that RFPs have many, many attachments. Like
Right,
we go,
right.
We do appendices,
Yes.
we go all the way. We use letters, so we can easily go up to J, L.
Yes.
whatever. So one thing that we do attach as a standard is the specifications. Will your search be able to go through each appendix?
Yes.
So you can
Yes.
go through like
Every
1,000
file.
page
Exactly.
specification.
Yes.
Nice.
We want to automate all the manual work, which is searching and also reading and everything.
Yeah.
And also, there could be a lot of risk clauses. Let's say there has been like a lobby for a company who has done lobbying for a certain government project. So even though it's on public, it's already arranged behind it. There are a lot of cases. I assume that there are a lot of cases where it's already
Sorry.
no, we do it. Don't be more slow.
Sorry, I blew your cover.
Comes with the bread, right?
It does.
And the Chinese chicken salad, and the Thai peanut noodle bowl, and the margarita pizza. The good thing about this public procurement is that everything is universal because America has established their first system. Korea adopted from them. We exported
Oh, I
it
didn't
to
know
other
that.
Asian countries.
Okay.
Korea actually exported the system to 100 countries, mainly in South America, Africa, and Southeast Asia.
Wow.
So that's a good thing that everything is very universal.
Is it-
People will just go onto a website. You'll see a lot of like data analytics inside the software. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's basically
And so when
it.
they buy into,
It's a subscription
it's
model.
a,
yeah.
it's like an annual subscription.
Yes.
And is it by, how is it prorated, the price? Is
Oh,
it
the
like,
price? Well, in Korea, it's about. So if you're just gonna use the search,
Yep.
it's gonna be around $2,000
Okay.
per year
Okay.
for 10 people.
Okay. So
If
it's by
you-
number of seats too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We're limiting it to 10 seats.
Okay.
So it's gonna be 2,000 annually.
Okay.
If you're gonna use the market analytics, like
Yep.
finding other competitors or partners,
Yep.
or if you wanna like analyze the government budget, that's gonna be including the search is around 5,000.
Okay. So
per
you have
year.
different modules. to
Yes,
add.
we have 2 plans for now.
Okay. Like my firm, my old firm that I just quit from.
Yeah.
Would definitely.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. That's why I'm all relaxed. I'm like, I got the rest of the day. I don't have to go to meetings. No, because we rely a lot to find RFPs and even RFQs
Yes.
and
R5.
RFPs
Yeah, R5.
for requests for bids.
Yes.
We rely on our relationships with previous clients saying, let us know when it goes live. Let us know when it goes live. And likewise, I just put an RFQ, which is a request for qualifications.
Yeah.
One of the last things I did for my firm was to post an RFQ for qualification. Like they couldn't even bid on an RFP until they passed the RFQ.
Exactly.
So it's a huge project, and
Right.
like we don't want any Joe Schmo bidding or proposing on this. You have to qualify, and these are the qualifications.
Yes.
Because at the end of the RFQ, you're not bidding on a project, or you're not proposing. You're just trying to qualify. It's binary. You pass or you fail. If you pass, then you can get the RFP.
Yes.
But this is great. I mean, I wish our firm had something like this because
Yeah.
we're basically, when we're trying to market ourselves, we're going out and saying,
So
what
are
the
you guys
RFPs
the
out there?
suppliers or the buyers side?
We're kind of both.
Both?
We
Okay.
actually, so sometimes we represent the client, the buyer, and sometimes we are
Got
the
it.
seller.
Got it.
Yeah,
Look, I haven't heard much about the company. Is it like what's the industry that you guys
So we are engineering. We
Engineering.
provide engineering services. So
like IT solutions? Like
no, so it's a lot of civil and infrastructure.
Oh, okay.
So
it's like
most-
heavy duties. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
So our projects tend to be public sector, government projects.
Yeah.
So,
Usually civil engineering.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah. So a lot of
Interesting.
infrastructure,
Yeah.
city, state infrastructure,
Yeah.
roadways,
Wow.
bridges,
Got it.
buildings that are public buildings like
Yes.
police departments,
Wow.
schools, community parks,
Yeah.
things that are owned by the city or the
Got
state.
it. Got it.
So
Because usually it's not just one company going. It's usually like a
Oh.
partnership, like a
Yes.
consortium going
Yeah.
all together.
Yeah.
Got it.
On this one project I was working on, we are the PMs. So we took ourselves. We could not be the CMs, the construction managers, because we have a conflict of interest. If we're both the PM and the CM,
Yeah.
then yeah, it's like signing your own check type of thing.
Yes.
So we
Yes.
couldn't do that.
Yes. Of course.
So, but we
Interesting.
sit on both sides of the
Wow.
table.
Thank you so much, Father. We humbly pray in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. All right,
Let's
dig
go.
in.
So I went to Chicago. I went to Ann Arbor.
Okay.
Meet a few
So
professors.
Michigan,
And I was just in Seattle,
Washington,
Washington
You're in
State. My first
California.
time in Seattle, California, just for
And
a day.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I'm going to Virginia.
Yeah.
Virginia, Maryland are two different states, but it's only like an hour long by car. And then my last trip is New York.
Oh wow.
Yes. There's like a conference that I will be attending.
Okay.
If you want to enter Korea, you gotta just, it's obvious that you gotta station yourself in
Yeah.
Seoul.
Yeah.
But in America, as
It's
I
so
said,
much broader,
it's too
yeah.
big. Not
Yeah.
just the regional, like in terms of regulations, every state has different laws. So, which makes it so everything is decentralized in America.
Yes, that
in
makes it
America,
harder.
everything in Korea, everything is centralized.
Right.
So what makes it more attractive for America is that that's the reason why American companies are having these challenges trying to work with the government. If you're trying to just work with one state, you have to tackle another way of doing it for another state.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So if we can try consolidating every data from every state to make it like streamline it, that would be
Such an invaluable tool because a lot of our research is. I mean, I was working on a project where we had to involve the health department,
yes.
and we need to get code compliant and sign off. And I was working in the city of Long Beach, which is in LA County. So, and then LA County being in Southern California being in California, being part of the U.S. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to start with LA County as my area of jurisdiction. And then I found out that Long Beach, being such a large city, has its own health department that supersedes the county. So you know how you have your different, like you have federal, which covers
Right.
the whole country, and then within federal you have state.
States, you have the
and
county,
then,
and then you have the city.
But
But
Long Beach, you figure for a health department, most cities do not have their own health department. They rely on county health department. But Long Beach being so big, they have their own specific city health department requirements. And I'm like, I did not know this. And like you said, everything is so decentralized. You don't know.
makes sense, yes.
What am I looking at? Like, am
Yes,
I?
yes,
so I
yes.
was just like,
Yes.
so I think if you have a central database where you can just kind of type in what you're looking for, it does the extraction for you. I think that the consolidation of information, that is really so helpful and so valuable. Even more so in the U.S. than in Korea, because
Yes.
Korea is centralized, and here we're
And the
all over
reason
place.
why the government is not doing that is it's impossible for like the federal comes in and let's gather everything into one database. That doesn't make sense for them because they have their own responsible authorities, right? So everything is systematically decentralized.
Cliwant would really be an asset. I just put out an RFP on a platform that is very specific to one entity. So we have something called Planet Bids. It's a public site that you can go and look for any RFP if you want to bid on a project or propose on a project. Long Beach, which was one of my clients that I was working on, they have something called Long Beach Buys, which is their platform to publicize their RFPs. And I'm like, you need to have a login. Like, how are people going to find? Because we want as many people proposing on this as possible because we want the competition.
Right.
So I was reaching out to all these contractors and potential
you're
people.
asking them to come in?
No, I'm letting them know. I'm
Yes,
like,
yes,
hey, by
yes.
the way, we're going to drop this RFP on this date at this time. Make sure you have your notification on. And as a courtesy, I will send you an email to let you know when it's live. But you have to create a login to even see the RFP. If they use the bigger platform called Planet Bids, then you're going to get more eyes on your RFP. But because it was on Long Beach Vibes, which is their proprietary city platform, I'm like, oh my goodness, you're limiting your...
Still in Korea, everything's open, so without having like the
You don't
login,
need
you'll
to
be
pay,
able
okay.
to see the bids at
Yep,
least.
yep.
But in America, some of them are open to public. Some of them you need like a, I don't know, like a social security number or something like that, just to get the access to the data. Wondering why is that?
I don't know why, because if they're public RFPs, you should not have to create a login or
Exactly,
enter
yes,
information.
yes.
It's anybody can see it.
And the more people see it,
right,
the
the better.
competition goes up, which is good for the government. So I was like, just didn't know the intention behind
Well,
it.
supposedly, because I tried to see, once I went through, it took me 6 months to build this RFP that we eventually just posted 2 weeks ago. And it went through so many iterations because they don't do revisions concurrently. It's linear. So they have risk management take a look at it. Then they have legal counsel take a look at it. Then they have purchasing take a look at it. I'm like, why can't you take a look at it at the same time? Because we have it, it's almost like a Google Doc. It's not a Google Doc, but you can see changes being made in real time. And I was frustrated because I'm like, 6 months to get an RFP out, that's like so long. So we were trying to fast track it in 2 months, and we're like, no, it's not gonna happen. I mean, legal, just to have a city attorney looking at it is at least 6 weeks right there.
Yes.
So anyway, but where am I going with this? The fact that this is such a high-profile project that people are saying, asking me, emailing me, when is this coming out? When is this coming out? And I was told that you do not need a login to see the RFP when it goes live. So because I had seen so many iterations of the RFP, I never saw the final version until it got posted. So I wanted to go and see the final RFP with all the appendices and all the attachments. They said you don't need a login. I'm like, great, that means that anybody can see it. And I go and I can see it. When I click on it, they said, what is your login? I'm like, that is so frustrating. Like, you can see it, so it's public,
I know.
but you can't see the details.
I know.
But yeah, and we have these mandatory meetings.
Yes,
that if
yes,
you're gonna,
yes.
So
It's usually online, right?
we've done some in person and we've done some
Oh, really? Because we do
online.
that in Korea as well. You gotta like go to like meetings to ask questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we always say you can ask a question, but you have to put it in writing. So everything we say is off the record.
Right. And then they post it again.
Yes, we post it as an addendum on
Yes.
the RFP site
Yes.
so that everybody has the. Oh my goodness, I've seen grown men cry when they're trying to submit their RFP in because we have a hard deadline.
Yes.
And they missed it by a minute or 2 minutes, and they're like,
It's the government, so.
And they call it a fire because some of these projects, the amount of money that you invest in a proposal, it's like easily like $250,000.
Yes.
Yeah, and it's all down the drain because they didn't even get considered.
Right.
Because they missed the deadline by 2 minutes.
Yes.
And you see them like breaking out of the parking lot, and I'm just like, it's only a minute. Let them submit. But they're like so strict. So I remember I had to deliver a proposal, and I'm like, I've never been to this city before, and
Are you bringing the proposal in person?
I'm bringing the
hard copy.
It has some of them are electronic, some of them are hard copy, and some of them,
Same in Korea.
Really?
It's
They're
ridiculous. You gotta.
Oh my goodness.
You gotta bring the hard copy.
Yes. And you have to bring
like
so many
10
copies. Yep.
Bring like 10 copies.
So much stress. I've actually worked on, because we don't outsource it. We once hired a messenger service to deliver, and the messenger didn't deliver. So they said now our big practice director says, we will never outsource delivery of proposals. We do it in-house.
Yes.
And I don't care how much your billable is, you get there, and if you get on a bike and bicycle,
Yes.
you have to get it in there. So I did it once, and I was so stressed out.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, and you have a
Right.
very narrow. You can't deliver it early, and you can't deliver it
I
late.
know. Sometimes you have to go there in person, line up,
Yep.
and give the physical copy to the person.
What if the line is so long?
Well, you just pray and hope that they stamp it really fast and you make it in by the. No, I'm serious. It's so stressful.
The work
you
and time.
Yeah, all the people that are involved.
Yes.
in
So
doing
that's probably more than half a million, a quarter of a
It,
million.
it depends on the project, but still, it's
A lot of work.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
And
The same in Korea as well.
like
so.
I've been even thinking about if it's that much stressful. Why don't you go to, like, why don't you book an inn or a hotel near there and sleep over there? And
No,
then,
because you know what? Oftentimes, I'm standing by the printer, and the people that are collating, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. Like, I need it now. I'm checking traffic, and I'm like, I need it now. And they're like, where? Because they're still doing changes to the art.
So it's like you're doing the last minute editing.
document is not ready yet.
Yes,
It's
yes,
not.
yes.
It's because it's a lot of. There's so many moving pieces and a lot of things have to be wet signed. So you actually have the person and then notarize. So you're just standing there. It's like an assembly line. You're like, okay, I need a signature on that. Nope, can't. And it has to be like certain color pen or like blue gel.
Either blue or
But it's
black.
crazy. And then they have seals. They have, and certain people only certain people have a seal.
notarizing it.
Yeah, and it's just crazy. And I remember one time, one of our pagination was off. And I'm like, we have to reprint everything.
Oh my
goodness.
God.
It was so stressful, and I pitch in and help on proposals, and
Oh, you're pitching?
I pitch in and help. But my job is to draft it,
Yes.
and then when it goes through all the different stages, I'm just watching the frenzy and I'm just kind of like laughing because I did my part, right?
Yes, yes.
Sometimes they're like, can you help? I'm like, sure. Let me roll up my sleeves and let's get in. But it is all hands on deck, and I pity the person that has to. Luckily, most of them are electronic, but I wouldn't say most. About half are in person and half are electronic. But
Thank you.
the in-person ones, I'm like, please do not ask me. Please do not ask me. Please do not ask me to drop
Yes,
them
yeah,
off
yeah,
because
yeah.
it's just too much stress.
Wow,
can you imagine the
I'm
cars not
amazed
charged?
that the system is pretty similar in
Yeah.
Korea and in LA.
Yeah.
That's where the idea
And
came
LA has traffic, real bad traffic.
True.
Korea has an incredible,
Really?
awesome traffic.
Sometimes we have to submit our, because we're building like Washington DC in Korea, so
Mm-hmm.
we're building some political like
Where? In Yeouido?
Sejong.
Oh, Sejong? Uh-huh.
Yeah, yes. We're building like we're moving some government departments over to another local area.
Okay.
And it takes time to take. We have to bring our documents over there. So,
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Oh.
So that's very stressful. Printing and driving.
My specialty is documents control, so I am like all about dotting the I's and crossing the T's and making sure we're audit ready. And we say if you do not sign in, if I do not have record of your name, you cannot bid on this project. And everyone's like, where's that sign-in sheet? Where's that sign-in sheet? Like, I'm here. And so they're like all like, and they feel like if they bring 10 people from their firm, I'm like, it doesn't matter how many people you bring from your firm, as long as it's one person. But they feel like the more that's present, the more
Yeah.
clout they have.
I feel them. Just wanted to give you like a maybe more detailed run.
Sure. And I can swing around so I can see.
Yes. So this is what I'm trying to share with potential clients.
Okay.
Whole country issues 10,000 RFPs every day.
I did not know that.
Yes,
Wow.
in Korea it's 3,000, so it's
Okay.
a lot. So it's impossible to track every
Sure,
every
sure.
RFPs. But obviously you're not looking for every RFP,
Sure.
but still I'm trying to highlight that there are a lot of RFPs coming
Wait, you
out
said 10,000 a day?
a day, daily,
A day. Wow.
day.
And that's countrywide.
countrywide, yes.
Okay. And that's just public or
Just
all?
public, just public.
Oh my goodness!
Yes,
wow.
yes. So it's enormous. So
So you can do multiple word searches.
Yes,
like,
yes,
okay,
yes.
Okay. Can you do exclusions?
yes,
You can,
exclusion
okay.
is possible. And you can also have like or and clauses to
Yep.
make it more
Nice.
detailed.
Yep.
Let's say 100 pages of long RFPs, but before diving in, you're looking for the key keywords that you think seems to be related to your company,
Okay.
which state of work or
Yes,
scope of
SOWs,
work.
yeah.
If you see any familiar keywords, then that's the time you will see, oh, this might be interesting. You can
Yep.
dive in. So
Okay.
we're pulling out all this section to our platforms without even downloading the attachment. It's like an overview of the RFP in a very summarized and short format.
So is this an example of what they would see if
Yes.
they did a word search?
Yes,
They would-
yes,
okay.
yes. So let's say you find this RFP right here, solicitation for documents, and then you'll see the summarized version of statement of work, other evaluation criteria, passing requirements, like this, so that you can, without reading the documents, you'll be
So
able.
wait, the red clouded things are the word.
This is from the document.
That's from the okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm saying that these are like these are like scattered apart of the documents, but it'll be on this platform,
Got it.
like on one page. Yes, yes. Which will significantly cut down your time to review the
Of course,
documents.
yeah.
Yes. And the third one is that it's called risk analysis. And what I mean by risk is that there could be a lot of types of risk, but let's say there is a hidden arrangement between like underground, like let's say one company tried lobbying another government officials, and it's already done, so it's already pre-arranged, but it still has to go through this public bidding, right? But let's say I didn't know that fact, and then they put like clauses saying that you need a certain patent for this thing, but that patent only one company has this patent, so that's the part that could be risk. But if you don't identify those clauses, you would spend much time preparing for it. At the last minute, you see that, oh, this is already impossible to win. So let's say you write things that seems to be risk by yourself. Your company would have like profiles which seems that this could be. And the third one is we call it a proposal assistant, and there are actually a lot of solutions that are trying to do proposal assistance, but how we're trying to achieve is different, because let's say ChatGPT, have you heard of Gamma?
No.
So it's like ChatGPT for presentations. So they're building presentation slides. If you just plug in some prompts, it'll give you like a draft of proposal.
Oh,
But the problem for that is that it seems very fun and exciting and interesting, but you wouldn't be able to use it in business because it's so irrelevant to your current businesses. So usually, let's say we have the evaluation criteria, and then we're gonna pull out those evaluation criteria into an agenda first.
Okay.
And then people don't really start from scratch when they're writing proposals.
Yes.
They're like collecting previous proposals. They're like laying it down and to see that, oh, this one seems to match with this RFP, and then they're trying to like change a little bit. And that's how we do it. So let's say you put all your past proposals onto this cloud, and then we're gonna identify which one fits the most, and then you can start mixing it so that we can give you a realistic draft of it. So we're not like coming ideas from air. It's from your own data and from your ideas, and then so that this helps that people can start at least from like 30% of the draft, and then you can try come up with the later 70%.
So would people have to upload previous
Proposals,
RFPs and it would kind of cut and paste kind of?
Yes, exactly. So these are the 4 things that we want to tackle. In Korea, I can show you the actual solution later.
Okay.
But in Korea, it's much more advanced than these. But these are the 4 things that we want to do, like for the initial early stage for America. Because I want to see if 4 of these really make sense. If these are the real needs for American companies. Because if we develop these, and maybe American company would say that, finding RFP is not a challenge for them, or maybe they could say that this is not their needs. So I want to hear if this really could be appealing for companies in America.
I definitely feel like all 4 modules are needed. I could see myself using definitely the full text search. I mean, typically what we would do is we would look at the SOW, or the statement of scope of work. But we don't, when you have an RFP that's hundreds of pages long and there's so many, I don't know, things that you need to check. The risk detection, that is huge. Like, you wouldn't find that unless you're, like you said, close to submitting, and you're like, oh my goodness, I just disqualified myself because I didn't realize that.
Attorneys, like internal attorneys, look out for these? Like, who are the ones who are like?
I'm trying to think what the proposal process is for us when we're bidding. We get a proposal. I'm the first line. I start pulling together. I love the proposal assistant because I do a lot of cut and paste from previous proposals.
Yes, everybody
right?
does it, yeah.
Right? and then we customize it obviously to what they're looking
yes,
for.
yes.
So that's very helpful. In terms of does legal get involved? They
It's
do.
not technically, it's not legal.
I know, but
Yeah.
before we sign a contract, definitely legal does get involved.
Yeah.
But on the RFP side, I don't think they look into it. It's really the risk detection really comes down to my team to read every word of the RFP and find out are we excluded in any way.
So this was an idea from one of our clients. So he's in a company for the telecom, so like Verizon or T-Mobile in here. So sometimes the government, he's working for there's a project for the government, and inside the RFP they will say that the infrastructure has to align with the previous infrastructure, the line, everything else,
Right.
which is impossible for the newcomer to get into this
Yeah. So
because
that's-
that could be another risk clause. So I've heard from him that every person who is in the team will look out for those risk clauses.
Yep,
If there's
yep.
anything that seems impossible for them to get into the market,
Yep.
he will get rid of it, and then so his job is to get rid of all these irrelevant
Right,
government
right.
projects.
I think for most of the work that we do, the risk detection, if anything, they're trying to get as many proposers as possible. So they're not looking to exclude.
Yes.
And I don't think I've ever seen an RFP come through where they pretty much knew who they wanted for the job. But I do feel like this is an important module that would definitely be utilized.
Yeah.
And key information extraction, definitely. I think
How was
That's-
your process? Can you break it down into steps?
I could from my vantage point,
Yeah.
but I feel like my vantage point is somewhat limited. By the time I get it, it lands on my desk and say, hey, can you draft up a response or start pulling together information? My upper level management has already done the scrubbing.
Yes,
And
yes,
they've already kind of said, okay, we're going to bid on this.
Yes.
And unless there's some
He or she is the one who's finding the RFPs
Right.
and then giving to the team.
Right. And oftentimes, so we have something called CSM, these are client service managers. They're the ones that, by the time I get an RFP, it's already been looked at by many eyes.
Yes.
So I'm not the one to really know from soup to nuts or from beginning to end
Yes.
what the process is, because I get it probably like 30% the way through.
Usually that's how it's done, yes.
Yeah. So from what I understand, though, by the time an RFP becomes public, we've known about it for months
Yes,
or
yes,
weeks
yes.
at the very least. And a lot of times we know people on the inside, and we have kind of inside information, so that helps with the risk detection, because they will say, don't even bother proposing on
Yes,
this
yes.
because you guys don't qualify.
Yes.
Or we kind of,
Yeah.
but I do feel like a third-party risk detection is beneficial and helpful. Key information extraction definitely would save us a lot of time. In terms of the process, I get it. I start pulling together documents. I pull together our financial statements, everything that's kind of boilerplate stuff. We have boilerplate contracts, so we can kind of draft those things up. When it comes to specific, our portfolio, they want to see okay, give us some of your examples of work that you've done. Past work, right? So that gets pulled together. We have resumes, so if they're looking for a project team.
Profiles.
The profiles, those are pretty much boilerplate and set up. And we might take away and add projects that are more aligned to their projects.
Same.
But
it's very similar.
it's very
actually,
similar,
yes.
yeah. So I think a lot of the help is the proposal assistant putting together, because we have all the pieces. It's just a matter of putting it together and then customizing it to what they're looking for.
Do you guys have a Google Drive or something like Google Drive where people just put
Yes.
all their proposals and
Yep.
you guys are sharing?
Yes, it's shared.
Makes sense.
So if we're proposing on a project that's very similar in scope, we'll say, look at project XYZ, and we'll go to the shared drive, and we'll pull that, and we'll use that as a basis
Got it.
of our new proposal.
Good.
So,
Yes.
so yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's very similar to, it sounds like how you guys
Yes,
do it.
yes.
And when you propose on so many projects, it is kind of there's a method to the madness, but it's still madness.
Yes. So is
So-
everything done by manual work, or
It
do you
is.
guys
It is done manually.
try adopting like an AI solution
We haven't adopted an AI solution
or any
yet.
third-party solution?
No, we do. Although, so we are. My firm is throughout the U.S. We're not global. We do have some offices in different countries, but I wouldn't say we're a global firm. But our firm is all throughout the U.S. East Coast, West Coast, North and South. So how the different departments do it, I can only speak for my
Yeah, of
southern,
course, yes, yeah.
my western region. We pretty much do everything in-house. We don't have a third party, not that I know of. I'm trying to think if there's,
Well, I wasn't talking about like third-party consulting. I was talking about like if you guys are using some software.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, like any type of, I don't.
Just like Excel and like OneDrive, Google Drive.
Yeah, we do SharePoint, which is like OneDrive, and then we have our internal intranet where we
Yeah.
store files
Yeah.
locally, and then even within that we have different servers. So our Florida office might be on a different server than our California, so we might not be able to file share per se, but we always have contact and say, hey, can you share this file with us? Because we're so large,
Yes.
we don't have access to all the files.
Right.
possible. But I don't think I haven't heard of any application that they've used to assist pulling together RFPs. And as far as I know, at least my department, we haven't utilized AI technology to.
Is it because of like, are you guys concerned about security issues? Is that the reason, or is it just like?
I think it's just. I want to say that my firm is fairly young, but we've been around through acquisitions. We've grown from 300 people to 1,700 in 5 years, less than 5 years. So we had such tremendous growth that when we acquire companies, we're not even on the same payroll system. So for us to like be on one platform and sharing best methods, BMPs, we're not there because we've just grown so fast, so quickly. Not to say that we wouldn't use AI technology or some sort of third-party
I
software.
guess the company is still on the process of managing.
Yeah, we're just trying to get everybody consolidated
Got
on
it.
the same system, the same
Makes
platform.
sense. Makes sense.
That we
Wow,
haven't
but
had the
it's
chance.
hyper growth for.
It's hyper growth, and there's been they can't hire fast enough. So
Yes.
I think they're just trying to get the people, and the work is definitely there. They were saying that we just had a firm-wide call, and they were saying that we have enough work for 18 months. Like if we didn't propose on anything, we would have work lined up for the next 18 months. That's how backlogged we are. But obviously we want to keep proposing, and we want to turn around from when we hear it to when we submit. Because we have so many of our client service managers, they're managing and overseeing live projects while still trying to pull together proposals. And that's the biggest complaint they have is we don't have enough time to pull together proposals.
Yes.
So something like this would be so helpful if it cuts down on the production time. So I think that you guys are saying
It looks like the pain points are very similar. The whole working process is very similar from Korea and how you do it in the States. That's good to hear.
Yeah,
It seems
yeah.
like we're on the right track for now.
Sure.
Yes,
I mean,
for sure.
we've walked away from potential opportunities because
Yes.
we didn't have the bandwidth to
Right,
respond.
right.
We're like, oh, that's too
And
bad.
this is just like one of example from the government side. We're actually very, very young. So we started this company a year ago in Korea, but we have about 15 paid clients in Korea because this is like hardcore pain points in Korea. Like at least in Korea, it's like hardcore pain points. And we're trying to expand to the US and Singapore. And hopefully in the future we would have Korean companies trying bidding in America. We might help American companies to bid into Singapore or other Asian countries.
Can you do extractions from searches? Does your application?
Well, not in the American version, but
Okay,
maybe
but
in
Korean
Korean it's very more advanced. Imagine this is in English.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll just give you an
Yeah,
example.
for sure. Yeah.
So this is probably the same.
Like, do you have a export to Excel type of?
Yeah. So you type in a lot of like
Yeah.
keywords inside, and this is the bids.
Yeah.
Actually, these are like the check marks. So we are extracting the company's information automatically that's registered to the procurement department, and we're gonna extract all the licenses that you have. So let's say
okay,
the
okay.
bids require certain licenses.
Yeah.
You'd have to see if we have the right license to apply for this bids. We are actually filtering things out. Like I'll give you an example.
Okay.
So let's say this seems interested, and
Yeah.
this is the summary of
Yeah.
it. This is other criterias. Well, for this one, it doesn't require a certificate, but I'm just gonna show you one that requires some
A specific license.
yeah,
or-
specific license. Or this one. So it's requiring like software business license, related license, and since we have it, it's check mark. But if you don't have it, it'll say X. So
Okay.
without even going in, you can
know
roll
your-
out things
yep,
out. Yes.
Yep. So you don't even
And-
need to go through the details.
Right,
Like,
right.
Okay, especially for beta testers, if they say, well, this is not quite working, could you add in an extra search field because we want to?
We are very, very flexible because that's actually what we are looking for from the customers' feedback.
Okay.
Because because of the early users, we are looking for their feedback and their what they're looking for. So the more they give our good feedback, we would like to adopt it into our software. In Korea, my CEO has some networks, so it's easy to expand. So finding the first client is difficult, but once you have use cases, it's easy to expand it. But in America, we don't have professional networks yet, so it's difficult to find the first clients. That's the problem for us.
I think if I can definitely share, like I'm on very good terms with my old firm. I can definitely give you names from them. I think also another way to get into the U.S. market is we have professional organizations. So my old firm, we were part of I think 4 or 5 different professional firms. One of them is CMAA, which stands for Construction Managers Association of America, and we do marketing ourselves. We have a marketing booth. We're selling our services. If Cliwant set up a booth and said, "Hey, we have trade shows.
Got it.
If you could purchase an exhibit booth and put your product out there and market yourself," because a lot of times when I go to trade shows and go to these conferences, I haven't seen something like this out there. If you because everyone's marketing there, "Hey, come, think about our firm the next time you have a big project or you're working on this." But to have technology tools that get your foot in the door with RFPs, I think that you would get a lot of interest that way.
Got it. Trade shows. Oh, is it also true that in America, in-person meetings are really, really important? I mean, of course it's better than online, but still sometimes it's mandatory. Do you think that will make a huge difference?
I think for new products, I think in-person probably is better. If it's an established product, then you could do virtual meetings. But I also know people are super busy too, and sometimes it's easier to schedule back-to-back meetings when you don't have to travel. So if you could get in front of a client and say, "Hey, I'm going to come to you," what would be a good time? I think that's effective.
Got it.
We've done lunch and learns, which are pretty popular because you go in during people's lunch hour and you might bring in some sandwiches or say, "Okay, during this time, I'm going to do a presentation." We call it a dog and pony show. But at the same time, you're talking to a conference room full of people, and people come and say, "I want that. I need that product." That could be very effective too. You have a product that you can easily show through virtual meetings. You can't do that with a pool. I mean, because the pool has to be in person,
yes,
right?
Yes.
But your product, you could definitely showcase on a presentation.
Yes, because we're so new. I think building the trust, you have to show up in person. Obviously, it's always
if
better.
You're coming from Korea.
Yes.
I do feel like because you're coming from another country and you're trying to tap into the U.S. market, in person speaks a lot because you're like, "Hey,
Showing dedication.
It's going to be costly. It's going to be time consuming. But if you want to tap into the U.S. market, don't call from Korea and tell me your product. You need to be here, boots on the ground, and that lends more credibility. So that's helpful. But as you establish yourself, you probably don't have to do that as much. People will recognize, oh, I know what Cliwant is, and I know companies that use your system. That's great. Tell us more. But as you're establishing yourself here in a different country, I feel like the old-fashioned way of face-to-face is probably going to be more effective.
Got it.
From a construction background, we're like, oh my goodness, we're going to be so flat out busy that we won't be able to hire fast enough.
Yeah.
And if a tool like this was in our lap, we're like, okay, it would free up a lot of our CSMs to do actual work as opposed to writing proposals, searching through, okay, which project are we going to bid on next? Quite honestly, we let a lot of things slide because we don't have the time.
Right.
But if we can get our foot in the door and propose on projects, if we know the prospect of winning a bid, we can hire the headcount.
Got it.
Because we're not going to hire on speculation.
Yes.
We need to have that signed contract.
If so, do you think, let's say if I show this presentation to your colleagues, do you think they will be interested, or?
I think they would. And I would,
because we're so new here, maybe they will be
they
like,
probably would
hesitant.
not. Well, okay, our firm is about 1,700, but it's almost because we're so regionalized, we're almost like smaller subsets within a larger firm. I'm trying to think which region of my firm would be. It might be southeast, which would be the Florida Panhandle, because they have most of their work is water infrastructure. So water treatment plants. It's still federally funded, but I can see this tool being very helpful for established mid-sized firms because they don't have the time to. Yeah. But it's true. Larger established entities probably already have an in-house bandwidth to do their own research and have their own staff do a lot of what you're proposing. I would definitely look into education. I wonder if cities, you mentioned Austin, Texas, even Nashville, they're up and coming.
Yeah.
So they're building a lot of infrastructure like hospitals. I don't know if like
Highways.
yeah, I'm just thinking hospitals. Hospitals are huge. And as more and more people are moving, or you're seeing where, I hate to say this, but where people tend to retire, you're going to have to beef up your hospitals because you have an aging population. And so these cities will want to expand their hospitals, and they would use a platform like Cliwant to bid on projects, expand a wing, go into, I don't know if I wonder if there are, what do you call it, assisted living homes that are state or city funded?
Oh, I understand that.
Yeah, because our population is aging.
Yes.
And
It's
people
you
are
call it like Silver Town.
Oh, yeah. Silvertown, like retirement community.
Retirement community.
So Florida.
Makes
a lot
sense.
of people go to Florida to retire. And when you have these retirement communities, you do need to have the hospital infrastructure to support our aging population. And hospitals are big public projects, especially if they're city hospitals. So healthcare, maybe? Healthcare, education.
Does make sense.
So Florida. And then up and coming cities. So a lot of the automotive industries have fled California because it's too expensive, and they've gone to places like Texas and even like Tennessee, Nashville. I'm trying to remember what else. And I want to say the Carolinas too, like North and South Carolina. Although I think North Carolina is almost tapped out now. So you almost want to focus on not first tier cities, but like second and third tier cities.
Does make sense.
So DC is going to be a big one to tackle. So if your target client base is going to be the small to mid-size, it might be difficult to tap into the federal government. Unless you're tapping into folks that are subcontractors or sub-consultants to the federal government, that might be an option too. So not direct contractors to the government, but sub or even subsidy. Does that help?
Yeah, very helpful, yes. Understanding, so this is my first trip to America, so just getting the understanding of the dynamics from industry, like people,
Yep.
that's very helpful. Because,
Yeah.
But the good thing that I've learned then is that the system, the process of work
Yep.
is very similar from Korea and the States.
Yeah, it seems like
Yes,
it,
yes.
right? Just even
Yes.
laughing about the
So-
whole stressful RFP
So
drop-off.
that's a good news for us. And
Yeah.
it's also good to hear that the solution that we're making seems to be relevant
It seems
to your...
very apropos and very applicable to
Yeah.
how we do things. There's a lot of what's the word? Similarities.
Yes.
So
That's good
yeah,
to hear.
I do think there's a market for this. So.
미팅은 잘 했고요. 중간에 카메라가 꺼져가지고 막 이렇게 끊겼죠. 그래서 우선은 그 미팅을 하면서 얘기를 좀 많이 들었고, 또 어떻게 될지 모르죠. 좋은 관계로 또 이어질 수 있을 수도 있으니 잘 팔로우업을 해보려고 합니다. LA는 생각보다 좀 많이 추워요. 춥고 날씨가 안 좋아가지고 좀 아쉽긴 하지만, 우선 네, 브이로그는 오늘 여기서 마치고 내일 또 이제 버지니아로 넘어갑니다. 하루밖에 안 있었던 LA이긴 하지만 뭐 하나하나가 다 소중하니까 이렇게 이어가 봅니다. 바이.